Hello there, I'm Laura Boyd and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Beatson Talks. And I am delighted, more delighted than ever, I shouldn't really say that, but to be joined by a returning guest, our first returning guest, the brilliant Erin Lavery and her dad, Daniel. Thank you so much. First of all, it's amazing to see you both.
Thank you.
Erin,
Yeah.
last time we saw you, and it wasn't that long ago.
No, so we were here, was that January?
I think so.
No, February, I think.
Yeah.
We came, yeah.
Start of the year, and you were still going through treatment.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how things were looking at that point. You were kind of waiting on results, I think.
Yeah.
But we've had some results recently. So tell me all about this.
So I'm now cancer free. Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
It's just such an incredible feeling. It's something that it still doesn't really feel real yet.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. But yeah, when last time we were here, it was just such a I really didn't know what way things were going to go. So yeah, it just feels so surreal to now be back in cancer free.
And I'm so delighted for you. And I, like hundreds of thousands of people around the world, were so invested in your story because obviously I had met you and heard all about it, and you were amazing and completely, I was just like, oh, I'm so invested in this. But I was watching your videos every day and I knew the results were kind of coming.
Yeah.
And I think so many people must have been like that, just waiting to hear. And when I saw that video of you ringing the bell, I cried. I know the girls from the Beatson were saying they cried as well.
Yeah.
What has the response been like to
It's
that?
just something else. Even leading up to those results, the amount of messages I was getting was people saying they were nervous and they were scared for this, and it was just it really did feel like it was just such a community of people really with me on it, and everyone was waiting for the results at the same time. So yeah, it just felt so nice to finally be able to give a wee bit of good news, because the whole way through it's been this isn't going great, this isn't. It was all those kind of things. So just giving an update like that was just so special. And yeah, the response I've received has just been insane. I can't believe the amount of messages that we've all had, and flowers to the house. Our house is actually like a flower shop. It's insane. So yeah, it was just incredible. Yeah.
And we've got your amazing dad here as well, who's been a huge support, and all your family have. And we'll come to you in a minute, Dad. But just for a recap, for anyone who hasn't seen you on social media or who hasn't listened to the last podcast, go back and do so. But you were living with lymphoma.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. That was in August of 24. And yeah, I was 21 at the time, and it came after a long process of being at the doctors and trying to find out what was going on. And then, yeah, I'd done 6 months of chemotherapy. I'd done 18 rounds of radiotherapy treatment, and then I got to this point. So it was a very long process, but all throughout I was very certain that I wanted to show the good bits of cancer and that you can still live a very happy life. So that's what I done on social media, and it just grew a platform and kind of a community of people that really like to see that and see the good side, and it gave everyone a kind of positive energy for people going through a treatment. And yeah, it was just really special.
And you were so open and honest. They've been amazing to watch the videos.
Yeah.
But Dad, you've documented your part in it as well. So
Yeah.
tell me a bit about, first of all, what it's like as a parent, going through that, seeing your beautiful daughter going through all this.
I guess it's definitely a hamster wheel that you jump on very, very quickly, because Erin was certainly fighting for quite a while at the start in regards of just getting a diagnosis and finding out what was wrong. And that was, your normal life sort of kicks in, and you're just so focused on that, and it's a hospital, it's a doctor's visit, and it's another doctor's visit, and then you start putting two and two together. So when the diagnosis finally came, in some ways that was a relief in the initial points, because you could then do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's a bit weird to say in some regards, but it definitely was, and we all felt that kind of way to start with.
Because suddenly you then knew.
There was a plan.
There was treatment, and
And I guess that's our introduction again to the Beatson, which was quite phenomenal in itself. But you then very quickly get into your treatment plan, and it becomes, it's just your new organised day in terms of the fact of how many hospital visits you've got, and trying to organise the rest of the side of the family in terms of what's going on with everyone else, work, all those delightful bits. But it's always there in the back of your mind, no matter what you're doing, in terms of the fact of, okay, what's today going to be like?
Yeah.
That's generally the hardest bit.
And as a parent, I can imagine, I think we maybe spoke about this in our podcast, when you're the person going through it, you've just got to roll with it. You go with the treatment, you do it as you're told.
You just give yourself
you're on it. But I always think of my own parents, you're almost that step removed. So you're helpless. You're there for support and things, but you're not the person directly going through it. So you do all you can, but you've got to watch your little one, your baby, go through it. Tell me a bit about what that was like and how, I guess, has it changed your relationship in any way? Did you?
Yeah, I think it probably has, without a doubt. Something like that generally is going to sort of be a catalyst for looking at things differently, just in terms of life in general from that point of view. It's not easy. I guess our relationship was always from the point of view that we're quite similar. I think
we're the same person.
I was trying to be as polite as possible with that one, but yeah, we're definitely very, very similar from that point of view in terms of our outlook in life, our moods, all of these sort of points, and therefore working together in the hospital just to sort of get through in terms of what was happening. It kind of made sense, right down to the point of view of just spending those extra 2 hours watching reruns of Still Game, which we pretty much did for the first month.
Did you find that helped? Because actually, I've interviewed the cast of Still Game, and they said so many people have said when they're going through difficult times that Still Game's helped them
it's
through
such an easy watch.
And you can't help but laugh at it.
It's not like that humour that's just...
And it removes very much, you're obviously, at that point in time, we were up in B7 in the Beatson, and it's a case of, it's still a ward. They're fantastic, but you're still in hospital. And trying to sort of remove yourself from that sort of point of view, it also meant I could get a comfier lie in the bed, which was always good, because the seats aren't very comfortable after a while.
No, they're not. They're not the best, are they?
But yeah, every stage was different, and it's quite funny. We've spoken quite a bit just recently in terms of looking back and sort of photographs and videos from before, and we probably didn't realise how ill you were at different points.
Yeah, I think when you're in it, you just, especially for me, obviously I'm seeing myself in the mirror every day, it just seems, I really didn't think I looked sick at all, but as when you look back, we kind of realise like, I really wasn't very well, and it just kind of, even just all the moments we had at the start, our way of coping was very like, it was just kind of like, because my dad understands the way the way I think about things, it was very much like we just had our time, and having those little moments where, looking back now, I'd probably feel sad watching them, but at the time it was such a comfort, like just watching something, and like we just had our own little way of dealing with stuff.
Even down to just sort of wanders around the hospital at different points. Because I guess there's the crucial points. Once the diagnosis had been given, and once the treatment plan started, it was that was okay in some regards, because you could get into the pattern of it, and you were definitely handing over your trust to everyone else who was looking after that. And it wasn't probably until we got the first scan that was, no, it's starting to grow again, and it's not clear. That was probably the first real bump in the road, emotionally, as much as anything else, because you are. I think up until that point in time, it had been reducing. And
when things are moving forward, you all kind of getting like a, like things are...
This is going to be fine.
Like how could we have done all that for it to still grow, and was like such a big like... So yeah, for me, I definitely had a wobble at that point, which then obviously I would lean on them, and then it's hard for you guys to then, even though they're all clubbing their head being like, what the hell? Like they have to keep that like strong for me, so... How did you keep that positivity going?
I don't know, actually. I've never actually thought about it in terms of the fact of we are a very sort of close family, and I think that definitely helps. Nicola very much organised what was happening at home while I did sort of a lot of the visits from school at that point in time. And that sort of reassurance that you knew everything else is sort of being coordinated and taken care of really is a big thing, and then we catch up. I think sometimes I probably got lost a little bit from the point of view that because I was seeing it firsthand, you didn't pass that on as much as I probably should have. I think that was one of the sort of realisations, but that comes out because you're talking about it all the time, and you're discussing it, and you're thinking about that next step forward, which was sort of crucially important. But yeah, I think you kind of compartmentalize everything because you have to.
Yeah.
You can't simply just constantly focus on it. And Erin was probably the same, very much in terms of her videos. She was adamant that it was going to be the positive side in terms of how she was going to approach it, and not the documenting of how you were getting.
Well, I think everyone knows how sick you become, but it was that kind of, I was like, I want to be like, even though I am this sick, look, I'm still having I would be swinging about on the little the stands that you get for your drip, stuff like that. I wanted to show that you can still have those happy moments throughout the day, even though I was very ill. So that was the kind of bit that I was like, I want to show that, because that's the side that people don't really see. Yeah. So
that probably
and the fashion and style and stuff as well, and just you just put such a positive spin on, as you say, people know it's a horrible situation, but you showed that you can still go through it and still have the light and the funny times. I guess you both did that so brilliantly. It was
a lot easier with Erin's approach as well, has to be said, because she was so determined in it. That made it's a lot easier to tackle things that way, because I guess we weren't having to pick her up all the time. And
it was like, you still allowed me, when I did have those days of this is really hard, you gave me space for that, but then they also knew when it was time to kind of then be like, right, okay, and then we'd get things moving again. So I think that time's definitely important, where it's still, it's not always going to be we'll just be positive, because you need those moments of being sad, but we'd have that all together, and then we would all come back up from it again. So
you do. I always think that's something that's really important, is you do need those moments where everyone always goes, you'll be fine, it's okay, but actually you do need a space to go,
just somebody just listens.
I might not, or just to have that moment of kind of reality to yourself as well. Erin, for you, how important was your dad and your family support?
It was just everything, because that was the thing. So when I first got diagnosed, all they knew was it was lymphoma. We didn't know what stage, what type, anything, and it just, from how ill I was, I really did think I was going to die. So at that point, everything just became so simple, in the fact of, I don't care what I've got, I don't care what I've done, I just wanted my family, and we all just really came together, and it just made everything, even the really difficult days that I had in hospital, them coming in to visit me, just having them there, their support was literally everything. I think we all just had our roles. So my dad was there for me, he knows the way. I think he could sort me emotionally, but then my mum would sort everything at home, and she would have all my clothes sorted, stuff like that. And then Megan, she just does, she's such a doer, so if I needed anything, I knew she would be there. And then again, Neve was that bit of just silly time, and she's not really there for she doesn't really like hospitals, stuff like that, but she was there just to then make me feel that wee bit
of normality,
yeah,
which is so important as well.
So everyone just had their different parts, and there was definitely different days where some days my dad would annoy me and I would need space, and then you just kind of went to each person. So they got me through it for sure.
And a good glorious bit of dark humour as well. I think that's probably where Still Game comes into. The bit of humour is always, it goes down well. We had a few daft sort of crazy moments in the hospital at different points, which just made it so much easier.
You very much need that. But Still Game it's a great support as well, or a great escape. I think it is. It's really interesting. Tell me about, because obviously we know Erin has documented her so well. Tell me about, from your point of view, putting your story out there on social media.
He was forced.
Was he? Reluctantly.
The biggest understatement. Sleep's a difficult thing to have at the start. It's very broken. Your mind is racing an awful lot in terms of how you can sort of manage the situation. So it seemed a sensible idea just to sort of write ideas down and how I was feeling at that point in time for me. However, Erin found out.
There was a night I was in A&E. I wasn't well, and
is that the first one?
Yeah, it was like, I've just been writing. I was like, what have you been writing? And look, it was just these notes that was just fully just kind of everything that had been going on in his head. And as soon as I seen it, I was like, you're posting this, you're putting it. And it took a wee while to convince him, because my dad is no social media, is not that kind of guy. But I was like, it's so important, because it shows that side of, that was something that I noticed so early on as well, is it's hard for me, but for my family, I couldn't imagine being in their position, being that helpless. So it gave that side of, I was like, I know so many people will relate to this, and you need to share it. So I forced him to.
And how was that?
uncomfortable because I guess it's your thoughts, and that the original intention wasn't for anybody else, obviously, but at the same point in time, it then became, I guess, quite cathartic from the point of view that I was able to sort of offload a lot of the feelings that I had and explain it without having to talk about it, because talking about it is really, really difficult, especially when you're trying to manage the emotions of not only yourself, but obviously Erin and everybody else.
You don't want the whole family to be upset.
And so it made sort of more sense writing it down to a certain extent. And it wasn't a conscious thought in terms of, each night I would do it. It was just whenever thoughts came in, it happened. And it was funny, the hospital was an interesting place because I was seeing it through different points of the day, different points of the week, in terms of all visiting at different points and different hospitals for that matter as well. You suddenly realise there's so much more that goes on. And also you realise the care that has actually been taken by everybody else to make sure that there's a successful outcome as there possibly can be. And that was quite a big thing, actually. That was probably the easiest bit to write and to think about, because it was so evident right across the board.
You knew she was in the best hands.
Very much so, very much so. We've had sort of several discussions since, obviously, having chemo and then the radio. They're two very different types of treatment. Obviously, there's such a big team around the chemo that we got very invested with everybody else in terms of, all across the hospital. And that's really nice, actually. It was really reassuring.
That's like the comforting bit. And that's what makes it feel like a second home, is when you have
when you get to know them, you get to know the nurses and everybody.
And and you start to sort of see their type of day and idiosyncrasies, I think, that go with that one, whereas the radio was quite transactional. Was that the easiest way to sort of put it? You go in, it's like almost like a dentist
appointment. It's every day, but because it's so fast, it's not that same kind of just like personal
community
kind of, you don't get to, so it can be quite isolating, I can imagine, if that's your only form of treatment. Maybe a bit scarier, because I already knew I had that team, so everything felt so comfy. But as much as the radio staff are amazing, so lovely, it's just not the same connection that you get with them, which is quite interesting.
And I guess with having so many different infections and things and having to go back into the ward, we saw the more it wasn't just the treatment time, it was the recovery time as well, that we spent a lot of time in there. And had we not probably seen both sides, we wouldn't have known any different. Unless you sort of pass people in the cafe on the way down as they're going for their treatment and going back and things like that. So that was definitely something which I hadn't considered in the slightest.
I wouldn't have thought about that, actually.
I guess even from the start, you sort of, the Beatson's such a well-known place, but until you're actually involved in it,
you don't know the ins and outs of what goes on there. And also, being a young person in the Beatson is quite, even I feel young in the waiting room half the time. It's like, it's there's definitely a lot of older people there. So being a young person must have been quite daunting or quite unusual to see, because you don't see that many.
There's not many, but so that's like B7, that's where they've got the TCT room. So that's basically Teenage Cancer Trust set up this space. So it's got like a pool table, Xboxes, telly. It's this space where the young people can go. So you don't see many young people when you're in the wards. Obviously, everyone is very sick, but it's just, it feels a wee bit more like cooler up there than it does like to actually be in the wards.
It's a nice space to have. Absolutely
that is an important space to have as well. The reaction for both of you from social media, the comments and the messages. First of all, Dad, for you, what was it like? Did you have other parents getting in touch to say, I can relate, this has been helpful,
Yeah, I think we initially sort of covered probably most of it on Erin's Insta and TikTok to a certain extent. And then we eventually put it in a website just so that we could read it as a story effectively. And the amount of sort of comments and just people just getting in touch to say that's exactly what it's like. And you'd realise all of a sudden that there's so many people that are going through this. And they're feeling the exact same way, and it changes dramatically through the different elements of the treatment and diagnosis as well. And the amount of people that you meet through it as well is quite
Yeah, we said
quite
that our
something.
life has changed so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
can imagine. I mean, and you've met friends through it.
Yeah,
and
so many friends.
Yeah.
It's wild. You wouldn't expect that.
when you
Yeah.
put out the post saying, "This is it, I'm clear," that video of you ringing the bell and you're all there. Well, first of all, tell me what that moment was like. Erin, you go with that. That's your big moment.
Yeah, so we went up to, because I got the news on the phone the day before, so I was like, no, like I need to go up to the hospital now. I need to see everyone right now.
I need that bell.
Yeah, so we went up and we went around all the wards first and just seen like all my team, everyone that had been there all around the journey, and then went down and done it, and it was just such a surreal kind of. When I was going through it, it was something that I thought about, but I was very much, when I was on treatment, I thought about treatment and treatment only. I didn't like,
You don't like to think too far in it.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt, it was such a surreal feeling, but also a wave of kind of, I think being a cancer survivor, you also get these guilty feelings of you remembering that not everyone gets this. So it's hard to kind of keep present and celebrating you. And yeah, as much as I was buzzing, there's such that kind of little eerie feeling of, this is quite tough to, but just getting to celebrate with my team that day was so special, and I didn't stop crying. I was like, everyone I seen, I was just crying again, like, I've done it, and yeah, they were all just as happy. So it was really nice to get to like share that moment with
and
all of
you
them
should
too.
enjoy that moment, because you're not saying it's easy for everyone, and it certainly isn't, but after everything you've been through, my goodness, you deserved it. It's such a special moment. And for you, Daniel, being there and standing with your daughter, having seen everything she'd been through.
That was very nice. And again, I think with the speed of how things came about, because we weren't honestly expecting to have that news. So it kind of hadn't sunk in to a certain extent. I think in the initial stages of, if you're thinking about ringing the bell, you consider it to be quite a sort of enclosed moment in terms of, with your family and things.
Yeah.
But the situation of the bell is lovely actually in the Beatson, because you get to share it with everybody in terms of down in the cafe as well. Yeah. So that's quite a...
And everybody cheers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
And I remember the first time that I heard actually someone doing it when Erin was going through her treatment, and it was one of those sort of real startling moments that you went, oh, right, that's what it is. And that was quite nice. It is obviously... mindful in terms of the fact of so many different people are going to get so many different outcomes at that point, but at the same point in time, as you say, you do have to celebrate it.
Yes, it's a massive thing. What has life been like? I mean, I know it's only a few weeks, but what has life been like since?
Yeah, it just, see, from the moment that we all said that, like waking up the next day, it was just this like,
was it like a weight?
Yeah, an absolute weight from the moment I was diagnosed. And it's something, although I've been so positive throughout, it was always those first couple moments when I woke up and it just, you're like, I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. And it was that every single day, the whole way through. Even though I was so used to things, there was always that moment when I first woke up of thinking, like, I still need to go through this. Yeah. So yeah, having that, like, waking up and being like, no, it's gone. Like, I've done it. It's just, we all just felt so much lighter. And yeah, every day that I've woke up, I've just felt like that. It just feels...
Did you have the best sleep ever that night?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Absolutely, just like a weight lifted off. And yeah, it's just, I'm not even doing that much, but just doing things and knowing that's it done is such a special feeling. Yeah.
What about for you?
The worry actually still kind of kicks in. Just now, you sort of, it's almost the reverse of that in some regards, in terms of the fact if you do wake up and you do realise it and you think, yeah, it's real, it's okay, it's fine, because you've spent so much time just thinking about it and obviously considering what each day's bringing. But it's definitely starting to sink in now. Even just the thought of, what do we do in the summer? It was a huge thing.
Because you can plan.
You didn't plan for anything at all.
Like, you and Mum have almost like reverted back as well to like literally seeing me as if I'm like Toti, because
that's your hormones that have kicked back in.
For them, they kind of see it as like, because when I had that first night out, my dad was saying to my mum, like, is she going to be okay? Is she going to be okay? So it's like, it's like watching me do all these things again. And you obviously, I think they do want to like wrap me in bubble wrap a wee bit, but...
Which is understandable,
There is still that sort of thought process that has to be said,
Yeah, so it's just kind of getting used to that again.
She's like, I'm a big girl now.
Yeah,
I can do
don't
it. I can do it. How have you celebrated?
Yeah, so I went out with my friends last weekend and I'm planning a party for all like my family and stuff. And yeah, it's just something I definitely want to do a fundraiser for the Beatson as well. Just that place has been amazing for all of us. So I want to give back to them. But yeah, it just feels, as I said, even just doing absolutely nothing feels amazing. Like that's celebrating enough is just having that cancer gone is bad.
I like this video that you did, or liked it, but it resonated with me in that you said, you know, if somebody says like, I like your hair, which your hair is incredible. And instead of going like, thanks, you're like, I had cancer. Yeah. I've got cancer. Yes. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, you really, and you hold yourself back.
I've done that so many times, like randomly, like if I'm interviewing someone or whatever, and they're like, how are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm okay, but I've got cancer. And I'm like, why did I feel the need to say that? You know, it's just like kind of comes out. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you look amazing, and you're doing better than ever, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Dad, do you think you're going to get to a point where you can relax soon, hopefully?
I definitely hope so. That's the plan. I think this is the plateau at the bottom of going, right, okay, we can relax and we can actually start thinking about what the future holds.
And a big family holiday is going to be special, isn't it?
It'll be lovely. Yes, it will be lovely. It's definitely something that we've thought about quite a lot. Probably spoken about very quickly after you got
That's the only thing that, because as I said, I didn't like to make plans or anything. I just was doing what I was doing. But that was always, whenever we spoke to Auntie Claire, it was always, you know, when I'm better, we're coming over.
We'll be there.
So
you better have the champagne on ice.
Yeah.
How proud of Erin are you?
Incredibly. Yeah, that's an understatement to a certain extent. But it's just, as I said before, it's made our lives so much easier in terms of how to approach this and how we deal with this, because of just the way that Erin's decided, right, okay, well, I'm going to attack this head on and be as positive as she possibly could be. And I guess the pride definitely extends from the point of view of raising awareness. Yeah. That's been huge. And I think that was probably the only reason why I agreed to put my blog back out. Because it's made such a difference, because you do realise that it can be a very isolating sort of time for so many different people. And even just reading through some of the comments that Erin gets, you realise that there's a lot of people that it touches in so many different ways.
And it's so important to hear the human side of it, because the hospitals are great in giving you leaflets and there's websites and stuff, but actually to see and hear from people, real people who are going through it, is so important.
For this age group, because I was actually saying that to one of my nurses, that the new thing is now, like, people my age don't Google things, they go on TikTok and search things. So it is something, if you're looking for maybe what chemo looks like, that's the place that you're going to look, and being able to watch a video of someone getting it and what they feel like, it gives you kind of that idea, because that was kind of one of the things before you start chemo, you're like, you know you're going to be sick, but you don't know how sick, you can't wrap your head around it. So it is so useful to see. And I learned from my sister Neve, is very, like, before she does anything, she has to know exactly how it's going to happen, and she's like so meticulous like that. So I realised that there's probably people out there that feel like that about medicine things, and they don't have that step by step. So when I was going through, like, when I'm getting my PIC line, I'd say, well, you go in and they'll say this to you, and then they'll do this, and then they'll do that, and it's that, like, step by step, so they can know it before they're going to get these things. And it's just that, like, reassurance that I was like, I can do that. So
You've been brilliant. Is there anything you would like to say to your dad?
Just thank you. You're brilliant.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. It's just been, like, really good. As I said, he just knows exactly what I need when I need it. So it was great just to have that kind of person that just understands all the way through it.
Thank you.
Very, very special. And finally, what does the future hold for you? Now that you can make plans, what would you like to do?
Do you know, it feels kind of crazy. I would obviously like to go back to work at some point. I miss all my clients, but I just feel
my
like...
nails are in desperate need of... You've got a new client here.
I just feel like I really want to just get out and about more. You know, I love my job, but it's just me and my clients, and I don't leave the hut. I don't leave the house because the hut's in the garden. So I just want to, like, get out, and I've really learned how much I do love just... like, speaking to different people, learning different things. So, definitely a wee bit more of that, a wee bit more travelling, and, just getting on with things. It's just so nice having the option now of, I really feel like I can do whatever I want. So
enjoying life.
the social media side.
I was going to say, long may the social media
that's
continue.
something that I've absolutely really enjoyed. And
You're so good at it,
Thank
like
you.
genuinely so
Yeah.
good.
It has showed me such a just how kind people can be is crazy. Like that's what I've learned. Like these complete strangers that really do care about how I'm getting on is just it's so comforting. I just love that that's even a thing. So I definitely want to continue with that too.
Well, you both should. I can't wait to see the next chapter unfold, and it honestly has been the best thing to have you back in here and to meet you as well, Daniel. So long may it continue. Stay healthy and enjoy France.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.